For those of you that are joining me now, I am going to open up the packs that I ended up winning over the course of this season. Not many. I didn't draft this format that much, mainly because I didn't like this format. I constantly rail against what I consider fast formats. Like, I don't like fast draft formats, and this was one of the fastest. And they were trying to do some really grindy things in this format, and you couldn't. Like, let's see if it's here. There's nothing here with Descend, but Descend was like one of the more grindy type things that you could do with a deck, especially in black red or black blue, and it didn't pay off, you know. Because if you would end up passing like bomb rares like this for the 1/1 flyers for 1 mana, and that's like not really what you want to be like doing in a draft format. I feel like draft formats should be slower. They should be grindier. They should give you an opportunity to actually play with the cards that are in this set, and this set you didn't get a chance to do that. It was either go fast or die fast. Hey, another Molten Collapse. I'll take that. I've never drafted this one. This is like a straight upgrade to, I think it's Terminate, right? Yeah, I think it's a straight upgrade to Terminate. So now I need 4 copies of this. Because like Descend isn't that hard to turn on in Modern. You just you crack a fetch land, or you sacrifice a Mishra's Bauble, and suddenly you have Descend. And now you get to destroy a non-creature, non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less, and a creature or planeswalker, which is like, that could be huge. Like the whole 2-for-1 is pretty good. Continue. There's also, what I understand, is a new animation for the Open 10, so we're going to try that right now. Yee-hee-hee! Look at that. They used to never show you what you got. And now it's just like, by the way, here's your 10 pack. Yeah, like, so if you were pack 1, pick 1, opened up Ojer, Axon, I think it's Ojer, Axonil, Deepest Might, you would likely pass it up for... Is that really my first waterlogged Hulk? Because I hate that card. You would likely pass it up for something like... Hold on. We're going to go back to it. Is it not even in here? Did I not even get one? I didn't even get one. Like a Spyglass Siren, right? The 1/1 in blue. The 1/1 flying pirate siren that made a map token when it ETB'd for 1 blue mana. Or Miner's Guidewing or Deep Cavern Bat. Zoetic Glyph, you take over that too, even though that's a bomb rare. Zoetic Glyph is just like, oh, this is just like way better. Because one, this kills O'Hare Axonil. It might not actually cost you a card if you cast it on top of like, you know, a gnome token or a what's it called? A map token or a treasure token. So, you know, like this thing being a 4/4 with trample doesn't even get through any damage, and then then Zoetic Glyph just replaces itself with another card, right? Like that's just silly. So what else do we get? Kellen, this was an okay 2-drop. I don't think you wanted to cast the sorcery. Stalactite Stalker, I actually enjoyed that card, but it was in black, so it wasn't good. Mana Dork, add 1 mana of any color. Wow, that's actually not a bad. The Belligerent, that's not my first one, is it? Oh, it is, yeah. That doesn't seem good, actually. Like, this just sounds too slow. Crew 3, when it attacks, create a treasure token. Until end of turn, you can look at the top card of your library. And like, if I drafted this in the last deck, I don't know if I probably would play it. I'd have to cut like a removal spell or something, because we couldn't cut a creature. And it's just, I don't even know if it's good enough. It's a 4-drop. What is this? Flatley, Poet of Unity. She was pretty good, actually. Never got to play her. There's another Kellen. Wild card. Whale of the Forgotten. I actually enjoyed this card in the blue-black deck that I drafted early. But like, as the format kind of settled, people started to realize, like, you know, stuff like this, Stalactite Stalker, even though, yes, it's a 1-drop with Menace, so it has evasion, that can sometimes get bigger if you Descend. It's just Descend is so slow. Descend only triggers on your turn. It doesn't trigger on your opponent's turn, like that one blue guy. Animpakal? Or is it Akal Pakal? Open up another 10. And I'll do some more one at a time later on. But like, the fact that 1-drops mattered so much in this format, and ooh, wild card, that you would take them over, like Growing Rites of Ixalan, that was bad. That was just outright bad. Dire Flail. Dire Flail was great. It still equips for 1, and then the backside of it is just like, you have infinite removal as long as you're making like map tokens. Cool. I have no cheese, I'm solid. I'm lactose intolerant. Sunken Citadel, this exists, right? The lands weren't necessarily like some of the best pickups because like they were too slow, right? Fabrication Foundry I never drafted because I think it was bugged on Arena for like weeks, and then it's not even a good card. How you doing, by the way, Sponge Boy? How's your weekend? I drafted this one time and tried to use it, and it's bad. This is bad. My macaroni without cheese. Okay, I do have macaroni. It's in the kitchen. You can help yourself. This is just bad. Like, it's a 2-drop. It's a 2-drop vehicle. It never shook out well. And like, if you just had Spyglass Siren, you wouldn't crew this. Well, you might. Especially if like it could, you know, allow your Spyglass Siren to possibly become a 2/2 and also crack through for more damage. But like, this was just kind of bad. Oh wait, you couldn't even attack with this turn 2 anyway. You had to wait till turn 3. So like, Spyglass Siren just being out is like better than this. Rated net, like, this was actually really annoying. Very controlling card. Bedrock Tortoise. Actually, yeah, as long as it's your turn, creatures you control have hexproof. There was a lot of like disruptive stuff. Hey, what's up, John? There was a lot of disruptive stuff in green. Like the uncommon green-white creature made it so that nobody could cast spells on their opponent's turn, like at all. And if you forgot and you tried to like interact with your opponent, you know, priority would just get automatically passed, and you'd be like, why can't I do the in red, there was this one creature that would like slam anybody who tried to cast a spell outside of their turn for 4 damage. Gotta believe in the heart of the cards. No, I'm already out of this. I actively do not like this format. This is like interesting art, but I like. So since this set is kind of set in like a Mayan, South American, setting, there are some of these creature lands that are just like the giant glyphs, the giant hieroglyphs that you would see in like in Peru, right? This one just looks like a big turtle or whatever on the back of this mountain. But there were some that it's just like the spider one. It just looks like a giant like hieroglyph spider on the side of the mountain or something. The Ever-Flowing Well. We finally drafted one of these, and it was okay. You know, it was okay. Continue. What else is here? This card I wasn't a big fan of. I liked Master's Guide Mural, and I tried to splash for it regularly, but I would always forget that like it's double white. That's not good. This card was like stupid. This card right here, again, it's a small flyer, but it's also like very disruptive because it gives you information on your opponent's hand. You take a non-land card from their hand and it's just like, yeah, you don't need that, right? You don't need this removal spell. There goes my Abrade. I was gonna kill that with an Abrade next turn, but I can't now. You know, and then like, you just your opponent could crack in with this every turn and gain a life, and you lose a life. And if you had anything to block it with, they just hold it back. You don't have to do anything with it, and it keeps a card of yours hostage until you remove it. And then when you remove it, you don't feel great about removing it because it's a 1/1. And there were so many 1/1 flyers that you didn't feel great about removing, but you knew you had to. Is that the third Master's Guide Mural here? Hold on. 1, 2, 3. I know that I like this card, but come on, game. Because again, where are they? I don't even see any. This is annoying. This game hates me. The 1/1 flyers for 1 mana, or even that one, the Deep Cavern Bat, they were just too good. They were just too good. And that's what I dislike about this format. It was too fast. It was too fast. You were supposed to prioritize the 1-drops and small creatures with evasion over things like... Actually, Staunch Crewmate was pretty good too, because he would draw you a card most of the time. But over things like Burning Sun's Cavalry, which is kind of sometimes a 3/3. Pakal was very good though. He would just typically draw you a card every turn and feed your graveyard. But in this pack, like, you might be more... No, I don't think you take Deep Cavern Bat over Pakal, because Pakal is not a 1/1 flyer. But Pakal, if you're going long, this card will get you so many cards because it triggers every turn, and it's so long as an artifact entered the battlefield under your control. It was just like, oh yeah, you look at the top 2, take one, put the other in the graveyard. It's incredible filtering. Any bombs that were like more than 4 mana, you couldn't play, you know. This was fine, but it also did 6 damage to you sometimes. Sure, Descend 8, it allowed you to recoup some of that. But that's Descend 8. Descend 8 was so far away that like it didn't matter. And cards like Tithing Blade never felt like they were good enough because there were so many cards that would just be like, oh yeah, when this enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 gnome creature token, or create a bat creature token. This felt bad. This actively felt bad. If this is the only removal spell in your hand and your opponent had like 3 creatures, it's like cool. Like with all edicts, you know. But there were so many cards that would spit out creature tokens. That this just, again, it felt bad. Fanatical Offering was like, you just didn't want to be in black, you know, in this format, which sucked. You know, I think that black has some of the best, like, unquestionable removal, and this was the format where it was just like, no. Like Deadweight seemed good, and like it was good to the point where you needed to, if you were in black, you needed to get like 3 or 4 copies of this. Otherwise, like, you would get run over by, again, 1/1 flyers, or 1/2 flyers, or 2/2 flyers. Cogwork Wrestler seemed good, but actually this was a great card because it was a combat trick that was also an artifact entering the battlefield, which was cute. Earthshaker Dreadmaw, I was so worried about this card because even though like it could draw you a bunch of cards, it's a 6-drop. Threefold Thunderhulk, this is considered a bomb. I don't know if I'd play this in a deck unless like I was trying to be really controlly and make the game go long. Because like, sure, it makes 6 power, right? It comes in with 3 1/1 counters. It creates 3 1/1 colorless gnome creature tokens, and then when you sacrifice artifacts, you put 1/1 counters on it, and then when it attacks, it makes more gnomes based on how much power it has. So at ETBs, it's a 3/3 with 3 1/1s, and then when it attacks, it makes another 3 1/1s, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, right? Maybe more if you had the mana to sink into it. But like, it felt like very like, oh, this is a 7-drop. The hike finally rendered. Does it look good, or or did it give you any more issues? Ultec Cloud Guard. This was a common that was like, it seems very good, and it was very good. A 3/2 flyer. A 3/2 flyer that also made a 1/1. Like, you know, like that was good. This was probably better than the 4/4 for 2 that you had to tap 4 other lands or artifacts or creatures to cast, right? This was just better than that. Oh, why do you do .mov? Cosmian Confluence. Anything that seemed to focus heavily on caves was something that I avoided like the plague, because like, it's weird. If you could get a cave sub-theme going in your deck, you would just get all this extra advantage, right? But if you couldn't, dude, so many of the cave cards suck on their own, right? Cosmian Confluence is one of those cards where you look at it and it's like, am I using a bunch of caves in this deck? Because at base rate, you have to figure you're just going to do that 3 times, right? You don't want to like actively turn your caves into creatures unless you really need 3/3s, attackers, and destroy target enchantment. Destroying 3 enchantments for 5 mana, like there weren't enough enchantments to destroy. You know, like occasionally there'd be a pacifism effect or whatever, but that was like likely one of the last things that you would do. There would be some times where you just had your caves out and you would just cast this to make 3 3/3s, and that's fine, right? But you needed caves. You definitely needed caves. You definitely couldn't rely on this being, I will destroy 3 enchantments. You needed caves in the deck. So like out of these picks, you know, it's just like, Malamet Battleglyph's actually not bad. Crewmate's pretty good. I think I'd probably take the Cloud Guard or the Crewmate. Not necessarily in that order. Green I didn't like. Green I just didn't like. Ooh, 600. Oh, you guys can't see it. My percentage of the completion rate of this set is 66.6%. It's uncompressed. I never do anything in .mov. Blue-green was trying to ramp, right? With Merfolk Explore, and so like it would allow you to just go, oh, there's a land here's a free land. I'm gonna play a land for free, or all my Merfolk are gonna get big. I've seen this deck go off once, and we had the perfect counter for it, and I feel so bad for that opponent. That was the game where I did like 200 points of damage to my opponent in one turn. We were getting to like you know, like the game was going too long, and I just had the ability to like attack with a bunch of 7/7 lands because of that spore, the tendril of the Micro Tyrant that turns your lands for 7 mana into 0/0 elementals with, or fungus tokens with 0/0 fungus creatures that were also lands with 7+1/+1 counters. Continue. Yeah, I kind of don't recommend uncompressed anything. Like, compression good? Of this pack, you'd probably take the Deep Cavern back over. Yeah, Deep Fathom Echo, I don't like this at all. It explores. Sure, every turn it could draw you a card or get a little bit bigger. Then you may have it become a copy of another creature you control until end of turn. This isn't good enough. I would just take the Deep Cavern Bat. If you play this on turn 2 and you see the Deep Fathom Echo, you just kind of go like, I'll take your Deep Fathom Echo, thank you. Or the removal that's in their hand, you know? This is just so disruptive. Skullcap Snail was also like, you would want like 4 of these just to like empty your opponent's hand. It's wild. That you needed to be so aggressive. You needed to be playing like, and whether or not the deck was good came down to what good 1-drops did the deck have, right? Like Seeker of Sunlight, I don't consider this a good 1-drop, but I do consider Dusk Rose Reliquary a pretty good 1-drop. Even though we dealt with 2 of these last draft, and you know, like cleanly and everything, I still consider this one of the best ways to remove something in this format, at least. Hulking Raptor. I don't know if this is good enough. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add green. Because, like, it ETBs, it doesn't do anything. It's a 5/3 with Ward 2. So, like, it might just die to a Braid, which is why it has Ward 2, because they really... You'll see this in the next set. There's all these morphs in the set, but they gave them all Ward 2. It's called Disguise. But they essentially function like morph. If they were just 2/2s for 3, they put Shock in that format. Shock just like kills that, you know? So they had to give them all Ward 2. The removal's just too good. Plotly's Final Strike is just like, this is pretty good, actually. It's not even a fight, it's a bite spell. It's just like instant speed, slap, get rid of that shit. This was a fine card. I don't like this because it's a cave card, right? Like Calamitous Cave-in looks great. It looks great. And then you see the thing that says cave and it's like, fuck. Very flavorful. Absolutely flavorful. It's got it, but you want like dead weight. You'd want dead weight over that, you know? And going back to, right, I said earlier, these man lands, like typically I would take a man land, right? Because like you're not really, especially pack 1 pick 1, I would take a man land in most formats because there's no opportunity cost to it, right? If you could like still play it, it's essentially another creature that's in the deck that is hard to remove because it can't die to sorcery speed removal, and or to board wipes. So like if you ever like cast a board wipe, you still now next turn you still have a creature, you know? But these man lands were just too slow. They were just too slow. Didact Echo, this would normally be well, it should just on base rate have flying. This whole descend thing didn't really work out very well. It should just have flying. But, you know, a 3/2 for 5 mana that flew and drew you a card wasn't good enough. It would die to like 2-drops or 3-drops, sorry. It just wasn't good enough. You know, Runaway Boulder just shouldn't even be in this format. Like, I don't know why they put that there. It's like one of the worst cards you could play. It's like 6 mana, 6 damage to a creature. Spring-Loaded Sawblades, this one was great. Love this card, right? If you saw this pack 1 pick 1, what's the rare here? Oh god, talk about booby rares. All right, this was a fantastic uncommon. It kills something and then later on turns into a massive artifact that either had crew 1 or you could tap artifacts to crew it. So like if you had map tokens, you could tap 2 map tokens to crew it. You don't even have to tap creatures to turn this into a creature that then gets to attack as a 5/5. That was just like very good. Hit the Mother Load, terrible. There's always going to be bad rares in every draft format, and they're not necessarily for the draft format. Or maybe somebody on the design team thought, this would be fun, right? This is not fun, and you would never get to 7 mana. I've never seen this card resolved, because everybody knows better than to put this in their deck. Ray of Ruin I didn't like. I was told that this is actually not a bad removal spell, simply because in black, you were kind of picking your targets with your smaller removal spells, so that by the time you did hit 5 mana, you would want the Ray of Ruin just to get rid of, like, some annoying big creature. But 5 mana, sorcery speed, exile target creature, vehicle, or non-basic land. Scry 1. It's not even, like, at this cost, like, yeah, it has to do something else. It has to do something else. Murder by itself wouldn't have been good enough. We've seen, there's always, like, a big... a high cost spell in black in every draft format that's like destroy or exile target creature plus set mechanic, right? I remember I think it was not Midnight Hunt, the other one. I have a bunch of packs of it too. I got my Festival in a box, but it was like 4 colorless and 2 black. Grisly Demise, destroy target creature or planeswalker, create 2 blood tokens, and it's just like, cool. Like, you never feel, and it was sorcery speed too, you never feel good about playing those cards, but, you know, they're there, right? And especially if you had to aim that kind of card at, like, a basking capybara, because somehow the game went long enough where this thing became a 4/3. And, like, normally, in a slower draft format, this thing would have been fantastic. Because of the descent, but because this is this draft format, and you just want the flying 1/1s and the flying 2/2s. This was kind of shite. Chupacabra Echo, though, this was one of the few black cards, I feel, that just felt fine. This was one of the few black cards that just felt good, right? Because it's essentially a 2-for-1. 1-for-1 removal was just bad in this format, because so many cards would just be like, oh yeah, when this enters the battlefield, create other value, right? The Cloud Guard was a 3/2 that made a 1/1, right? The Satchel or whatever it was a, you know, the 3 mana, I think it was Satchel. It made 2 1/1s, right? Like Spyglass, Siren, Water Wind Scout, they made map tokens when they came into the battlefield. So you always felt like you were getting like 1.5 cards out of it. You know, Chupacabra Echo, and these went early. And these were like a good reason to go into black. If you can get like 2 or 3 of these, they were fantastic. But again, the whole descent thing was just too slow. It was just too slow. I'm not going to fondly remember this format at all. I'm sorry. And there were too many times where I'm not bitter about it, but like it feels like I had a really good deck, and then I went 0-3. Yeah, hey, what's up, Remy? How you doing? There were times where I had like, it felt like I had a really good deck with like 1 or 2 really good bombs, and then I would just go 0-3 because we would die to stupid 1/1 flyers. How was your weekend? Like this right here, Ogier Pakpatik, the deepest epoch. I don't know if you take him. When you cast an instant spell from your hand, it gains rebound. There's not many instants in this format that I think are worth playing. When it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped and transform. It becomes a land with 3 time counters on it. Tap it to remove, tap it for blue and remove a time counter. Transform it for 3 and a tap. And only as a sorcery to then get the 4/3 flyer. Actually, this is fine. This actually might be fine. And plus, it's in blue. This is also in blue. I saw that you're going back into to doing more skating stuff. So like, I'm assuming you're not going to stream skating, but like it looks like you're going to create more videos with you skating, right? Like you made the whole secondary account and everything. This thing, I didn't like this. This thing actually might be fine because it's a flyer. It's an on-rate flyer, or it's an efficiently costed flyer. Tech Hazard was... Actually, this wasn't too bad, but I don't think I played enough of them. So maybe that one was fine. But then you had Deep Cavern Bats. So if you resolve this first, you just go, oh, I'm taking that. I don't want you to have a flyer. This card, I think this is for other formats. I don't think this was meant for this format. Deep Cavern Vat, very good. The Soul Cleaver. I've never seen anybody understand this card properly. Every time I see somebody resolve it, and then like you start to play the game more, you watch their creatures die and go, wait, what happened? And then you see them like hover over the card to read it. You know, like the card outline kind of glows. You could tell that they're just like reading it and like going like, what's going on here? I thought that this did a thing. Oh, what? This is crap. Like you don't want to find out that, you know, your legendary artifact equipment's actually crap and you shouldn't have put it in your deck in the middle of a match. 69 packs left, nice. It is a journey. Hey, what's up, Walsh? Everything's kind of a journey. Like, I don't think anybody's ever like from the get-go very good at something. You know what I mean? Here's an amazing pack, actually, and we're not even looking at this mythic. Deadweight was good, right? Shipwreck Sentry was like, I've heard somebody describe this as begrudgingly playable, and I agree. Like, this is a weirdly playable card in this format because it gets to attack if you had an artifact enter the battlefield. There's tons of cards that just go, here's a map token. Oh, my 3/3 gets to attack. I've had opponents go, that needs to go. It's going to do too much damage, and waste like Join the Dead or Final Fortune or whatever that uncommon black removal spell is to get rid of Shipwreck Sentry because it was too much to deal with that early. It's just like, I have to deal with that now. And that was wild, seeing people use premium removal on Shipwreck Sentry of all things, right? Zoetic Glyph was also like listen, if you saw these cards, you didn't even need to look at the next card. You don't need to find out what this mythic is. The Zoetic Glyph was the choice, and there's always like an uncommon in every format where it's just like, that is better than every mythic rare in this set. That is the mythic uncommon. What mythic did we get, by the way? Oh, it was a wild card. Again, this is better than every mythic that you could get in this set for draft. You would just play this. You would just play this and really try hard to force blue. It's better than Didact Echo. It's better than Shipwreck Sentry. It's better than Deadweight. It's better than... This is actually a pretty good pack. Kin Caller's actually not bad either. I'm not very cute at all. I drank some ugly juice. This pack sucks. A Gold Fury Strider's okay. Again, these manlands, pretty bad, actually. Just too slow. Too slow. I'm just opening up my pack board. Speaking of opening packs, this was supposed to be a good card, but I think you had to be more controlling in order to resolve this, because otherwise it's just a 5-mana 4/4. But if you can make a game go longer, either by gaining life, or you know, like bouncing your opponent's creatures as they entered the battlefield or countering their stuff, this was an engine. This was an engine that would just get you so many 4/4s that it's just like, cool, I guess I lose to 16 4/4s. And this is actually probably the pick here. What's this card, though? Abuelo's Awakening. I don't even know what this does. I don't. I hate it. You had an espresso, too. Oh, no. How much coffee did you have? I have my festival in a box here, and I haven't opened much of it yet. I did an unboxing for as a short, because I was just like really excited to finally get it. You know, festival in a box that I won. This removal spell was bad. This removal spell was bad, actually. When you see a card like this that says destroy target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker for 2 mana, regardless of whatever else it says, it always feels like that's a fine trade. I think I will take that. This removal spell was bad because 2 map tokens was actively unless you like got rid of something at like a key point in the game that cost them the game, and it was like you got rid of their bomb rare as they were like resolving Quatli's Final Strike to kill your biggest creature, and they paid the ward cost. You know what I mean? It's just like, this was actively bad because giving them 2 map tokens was so much value inadvertently. Now in constructed formats, Get Lost seems like a pretty good card, right? Because if you could keep your opponent off of having any creatures with Get Lost... Oh no. Are you going to get one, John? If you could keep your opponent off of having any creatures, Get Lost does giving your opponent map tokens in constructed formats doesn't matter. But like if you're playing control, this is actually a fantastic removal spell. But in this format, if your opponent had like another creature just out there, it's just like, cool. Now I'm running the risk of letting them draw up to 2 lands and or making that thing a +2/+2. Like, you know. And so like if you cast this on like, let's say a 1/1 flyer, you didn't feel good, right? You know, you gave them 2 map tokens. If you cast this on a 2/2 flyer, you didn't feel good, you gave them 2 map tokens. If you cast this on like a big ground creature and they had a flyer, you didn't feel good because they were gonna start exploring on those flyers and making them bigger. This was like a booby rare. It's hard to tell, but this looks like a great card and it's actually a booby rare. John, you should get one and you should show her how to use. I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. For HIPAA reasons. Oh God. Don't drink that much coffee. Council of Echoes, because it says descend, since it's an off-rate creature, this wasn't good. This was not good. Like sometimes you got to bounce something, but how often did you get to like 6 mana? Some of these games would go to like turn 7 and be over. They'd be like beyond done. Song of Stupefaction, blue always gets a card like that. But so much of this format was just, did you resolve small creatures? Cool. And then Malicious Eclipse was like an uncommon, and this was a sideboard card, and that sure is like the answer to all the small creatures. But we're playing on Arena. If you want to do what's it called? If you wanted to do ranked draft on Arena, you're doing best of 1. This is a sideboard card. You don't get to touch your sideboard in best of 1. In best of 3 you do, but nobody's in the queues in best of 3 outside of like maybe the first week. So Malicious Eclipse, it looks like a fine answer to dealing with all those 1/1 and 2/2 flyers in the format. It wasn't. It was not. You would pass this because this is just a this is a sideboard card, and you don't get to play sideboard cards. Triumphant Chomp though, this was great. 2 damage. 2 damage for 1 mana at sorcery speed. This is great. This might actually be the pick here over Vito, Fanatic of Aklazats. What's up, Walsh? Lock it in. No, we're already locked in. Like this being a 4/4 flyer, I don't know if this is good enough. Because like the rest of the text on his card doesn't really matter, right? Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, you gain 2 life. Maybe that happens occasionally. If it's the second time, each opponent loses 2 life. That's probably better than the gaining 2 life, but it's the third time that like matters, but you never see that. Because it's really hard to sacrifice 3 permanents. Unless like you spent the entire game building up map tokens and treasure tokens to then go like, all right, I'm cracking them all. I'm cracking them all right now. So that you could then finally double up and get a 4/3 flyer. Otherwise, like this felt, I don't know. This is like a commander card, I feel. Join the Dead was fine. I think if this was a pack, right? If this is a 15 card pack, the Triumphant Chomp is actually way better than Veto. In fact, if you were playing in the Dinosaurs deck, Triumphant Chomp could kill Veto. Atali's Favor was one of those cards. This was a wild card, and I've never gotten it to work really well. But this was one of those cards that people did not gauge properly when they first saw it. But if you had a deck with like 4 or 5 of these, there was a chance that you would wheel into all of them and turn one of your creatures fucking massive. Because Discover 3 worked like Cascade, except it could get up to the Discover cost, right? If Discover 3 means that it hits Atali's Favor. So if you discover from one favor into another, you could make a lot of your creatures have trample, or you can make one creature really fucking tall. And, you know, sometimes you get a 1-drop and that doesn't feel great, but, you know. Or sometimes you get a removal spell and it's just like, I don't need to use that right now. I'll just put that in my hand. But this is actually really good. This was better than it looks, Grasping Shadows, but you needed to control the game very, very well. What is this? Matzalantli? The Great Door? Matzalantli. Matzalantli! Draw, discard. Activate if there are 4 or more permanent types among cards in your graveyard. Add X Mana of one color where X... This is not good in draft. You don't need to ramp this hard. Continue. Let me open 10. I do kind of want to get through this a little bit faster. I do like this new animation for opening 10 packs. It used to be, it would just show you like the 10 rares that you got. There's another Moxilantly. There's a wild card. We like wild cards. We're at 400% vault progress. Oh my god, I never got to draft this. This card, this, if your opponent, hey, what's up, Cyberlycan? I will do that in like a few minutes. This is not the time for that. I'm sorry. I probably should have even turned it off. This card right here, or if you want, I can refund you. This card right here, this was like a really good board wipe. That's it. I never got to draft one. Molten Collapse is good. Let's see. Inti Seneschal? Whenever you attack. I know. These cards are too... There's too many... Like, this is a double-sided card. That makes... It makes a 5/3 flyer. And then it, like, really chokes your opponent's ability to do anything. I don't think I've ever had one of these resolved against me. I've seen... I was watching this one draft where Numot was playing in it was like, I think it was actually for like, it was one of the what's it called? Also, how you doing, Cyberlycan? It was one of the events where you play for money actually, and like 3 of his opponents had this, and it's still like very good because it wipes the board, and then later on you have a 5/3 flyer that makes your opponent unable to cast spells. Right? Like it's so bad. I mean, it's so good. Inti this is getting a lot of buzz on. Oh god, what's it? In constructed formats like Modern. Revenant, I really don't like. You're supposed to pay the 6 life to draw the 2 cards. It's so weird. You're supposed to, unless you really don't want like 2 lands, let's say, you're supposed to pay the 6 life to draw 2 cards, and that doesn't feel great. That's a bad card. Sanguine Evangelist, never got to draft one of these. Apparently very good. It replaces itself twice. It makes a flyer, and when it comes into the battlefield and when it dies. It's also the 1 card per set that has Battle Cry. They seem to be doing that. Hey, another wild card. And then Polani's Hatcher. This is also a fantastic card. If you were in red-green, you'd really want this one. Because it makes 3 bodies. It makes 3 bodies. It gives all your dinosaurs haste, and then like on the turn that it entered, you turn one of the... It makes 2 eggs, too. You could turn your eggs into a 3/3, and that gains haste, and so it gets to crack in immediately. Open up another 10. But yeah, some of these cards, like, they do too much, and then, like, it makes the draft formats, like, just kind of, like, unfun, you know? Galta, Stampede Tyrant, this was bad. This was actively bad. There was no way that you would, there was no way that the rest of the text on that actually would have mattered, so you didn't play that. Bedrock Tortoise, sure. I've never seen this work properly. I don't know what to do with this. I don't even know how to flip this. 3 or more boar counters. If you descended... Oh, that's why it sucks, because it's descend. It required descend. This was actually okay. It would make creatures whenever you attacked. And so, like, it would kind of get out of hand, and so your opponent had to remove it very early. Bad. This is okay because it's the 1-drop. I don't know how to feel about this, but this does make aggro very bad in constructed, or rather, it slows down red in constructed by a lot because it's a 6/6 for 3. Good luck getting rid of that. Screw that. There's another Anim Pakal. He's good. And again, just a trap. Get Lost was a trap. Go for another 10. Okay. Let's see, what is this? You would possibly draft Ogier, but again, like, if there was something else... Treasure Map? This is a value card. I don't know if it's fast enough. I think it might be too slow. Cosmian Comp... It does make treasures, but then, like, you'd rather not use those treasures. You'd rather just, like, draw cards with them. And it costs mana to scry. Oh, that's not terrible. I guess you do kind of just play that on any deck. I think it's still good. Evangelist was very good. Inti was pretty good. Polani's Hatcher was just like, you're in those colors. Souls of the Lost. Descend. It was a Descend card. It was a Descend card. That's all that mattered. Descend sucked. In Constructed, though, like, maybe this can make some waves in Modern with, like, Death Shadow? I don't know. Or some other, like, black aggro deck. Breaches was fucked up. Breaches was fucked up. If you had, like, any sort of pirate synergy going on, Breaches was fucked up. Even by himself, Breaches was fucked up. He could just draw you cards. He could just make treasure, you know, so that you can cast something bigger. He could just make something unable to block. And he had First Strike. So, like, likely something else just also couldn't block him. His Breaches was fucked up. And then again, flying Manland. Again, too slow. Descent and Dredge will work well together? Not necessarily. Continue. Like, I know that they're both... You're thinking that they're both graveyard for graveyard matters cards or mechanics, but in the formats that play Dredge, like Legacy and Modern, I don't see any of the Descend cards mattering there. Maybe Souls of the Lost. Trumpeting Carnosaur. This was an amazing card. I think, was this banned? No, the other one was a ban. The Appraiser. The problem with Descent and Dredge is that, like, you don't have enough slots for everything. And realistically, what you want to do in Dredge, especially in Modern and Legacy, is you just want to, like, have a sudden free board of just way too much power, which is what it does in Modern. If you're trying to do anything with Descent on top of that, you're cutting out... Your Golgari Grave Troll is banned in, like, every format that you could play it in. And Life from the Loam is okay. Right, it just got a reprint, but yeah, like, you would basically, you wouldn't really want to play any Descend cards. It's just one of those, like, very anemic very anemic mechanics that you likely won't see matter outside of the set. I kind of wonder if we'll even, like, see it get used in, like, any direct to Modern or direct to Legacy sets, like Commander products or Modern Horizons 3. Echoing Deeps. I'm supposed to get copies of this for Tron, but I don't think it's good in Tron. Again, Tunnel Grinder sucks. Hey, what's up, Guala Gala? How you doing? Roaming Throne? This card is amazing for Commander. How was your weekend, Guala Gala? And this card, I think it's like $20 now. It's a $20 rare in Commander because Commander players really do like their what's it called? Typal decks, right? Like, you play this in a Knights type deck, and, you know, all your Knights just do everything twice. Wild card, Squirming Emergence. I don't think this was good enough. Hiking. It sounds fun until you're there. No, I enjoy an okay hike. My weekend was okay. You know, it was just very spent in remembrance of my cat. I finally got to see my girlfriend in like for the first time in 3 weeks since she was sick and she had a conference. Kitesail Larcenist. This card's amazing. I never got to draft it. It would turn like 2 things into treasures, or up to 2 things into treasures. So it would act as a removal spell that was also, like, here's the thing. It's a 2/3 flyer. It's a cheap flyer that also acted as removal. Fucked up. Absolutely fucked up. What an amazing card. Continue. Oh, from the festival in a box? I haven't opened a single pack. I was planning on filming them individually, actually. I haven't opened up a single pack, and I'm not even touching the sealed box of convention boosters. Enigma Jewel. This was a trap. This is a bad card. That's why this is my first one. Ancient one. This is a trap. This is a bad card. You know why? Descend 8. If a card said Descend in draft, I don't care that this is a 2-mana 8/8. This is a bad card. Let's see. Jade Light Spelunker. This is okay. Sometimes sometimes late game you just draw 6 lands. Sometimes you just get a 5/5 for 6. You know. Let's see. Molten Collapse, pretty good card actually. Kellen, it's alright. Drawing Rights, bleh. Breaches, fucked up. Drawing Rights, bleh. Fabrication Foundry, bleh. Myco Tyrant. I don't think this card mattered. Its power and toughness equal to the number of fungi and or saplings you controlled. I think this was just a commander card. That's some wild-ass art, though. At the beginning of your end step, create X11 black fungus creature tokens with this creature can't block, where X is the number of times you descend this turn. It's a descend card. I don't think it's good. That's the problem. It's a descend card. It might not be good at all. It might not be worth even slotting into a black-green deck. Dig Site. Is this really the first Dig Site Conservator that I drafted? Or that I pulled? That's wild. You know what it is? You know, this is... So this doesn't feel good because, like, it doesn't do anything when it enters the battlefield. It's only a 2/1, so it dies to, like, a lot of the 1/1 creatures, right? And you can only activate its ability at sorcery speed. When it died, though, you can pay 4 to discover 4, which might be a 2-for-1, kind of. But not really. You didn't want to hold up 4 mana all the time. Market Gnome. This is also, like, another card that just exists. I think the Tinkerer's Tote was actually better than this, even though Tinkerer's Tote's a 3-drop. Just being an 0/3 that gains you a life and draws you a card when it dies, I don't think was good enough. Ancient One. Again! It says the word descend on it. It doesn't matter if it's a 2-mana 8/8. If you had to descend in order to turn a card on, it was not great. This was actually fine. This might be one of the few bomb rares that's just like, this is fine. And you know what's funny? There's an argument for taking this Oaken Siren over the Bloodletter of Aclazotz. This just doubles up the amount of damage that the opponent takes every turn, right? So if they take 2 from this, they take another 2. Right? So this effectively makes it a 4/4 in the air, right? If it hits your opponent. But Oaken Siren, it's a mana dork that's also got flying and vigilance, and it's a 1/2. And it's a Siren Pirate. And it's an artifact creature. Like, there were just so many synergies with everything that's on this card that unless blue was super open, you just wouldn't see these cards at all. Blue seemed pretty open in the last draft, and I did not see a single one of these. They were just gone because they're just so good in like so many archetypes, you know. With a few of these, you could actively just like hit your opponent and then like flip your inverted iceberg on like turn 3 or 4 if you had enough of these, you know. Or actually turn 4, that's a beating. It's a 6/6, you know. So like there's things to be said about Bloodletter of Aclazotz, but it might actually be more correct to take the Oaken Siren, and that's wild. The bomb rare gets outclassed by the 1/2 flyer with vigilance, and I just that's the main problem with this format, you know. Did you have a small flyer? Better than the bomb rares that you just saw. Clay Fired Bricks was actually pretty good, and we got another wild card. Continue. 10 packs left. I'm gonna be so happy tomorrow to see this format gone, because like I was actively not having fun playing this draft format. Like there were times where it was like, woo, fuck yeah, and for the most part it was just like, ugh. We drafted a fantastic deck and went 0-3. You know, like I've never seen that happen this much. And I was watching like other content creators drafting this format and complaining about the same thing. It's just like, I've gone 0-3 so many times. Ugh. And they were good decks. And it's like, these are better drafters than I am. 0-3. No, 0-3. Like Poetic Ingenuity, this seems like a good card actually. Whenever you cast an artifact. Oh, it's whenever you cast an artifact spell. Never mind. I thought it's when an artifact entered the battlefield under your control. Oh. Straight to jail feels. Straight to jail. Yeah, Poetic Ingenuity might not... it's probably pretty good in the blue-red deck, simply because... Because you could cast things like Inverted Iceberg or other artifact creatures. I gotta pee so bad. Everybody go to jail. Vanguard of the Rose, pretty good. I just don't like sacrificing creatures or artifacts. I don't know. There's always, in every draft format, there's always like a 3/1 in white that can do something to become indestructible for a turn. There's always something. I remember the first one that I saw was oh god, it was also a Vampire Knight in the first Ixalan set, and it was a 1/1 that got +2/+0 when it attacked, and you could pay 4 life to make it indestructible until end of turn. This one's like sacrifice another creature or artifact. I don't know how to feel about that. Unstable Glyph Bridge. Never got to draft one. He could be your bunkmate. Oh no, I don't know if I trust that. Bitter Triumph, that's the one. I don't know if I trust that. The two of you are going to be making too much noise at night. Boilo's actually not bad. He's a spirit creature. He's a 2/2 flyer with Ward 2. He's a 2/2 flyer. And they had to give him Ward 2 because otherwise he might just die to deadweight. And that would feel really bad. Tightsail Larcenist, again, very... And he had to have Ward 1 because otherwise he dies to a Braid. It's wild how, like, you know, just because a card was like a rare, they had to give it Ward solely so that it wouldn't die to a small removal spell. Queen's Bay Paladin. I'm pretty sure I hate this card. It dealt too much damage to you if you decided that you were going to get any amount of vampires out of your graveyard. And it worked on ETB and every time it attacked, so like you could get value out of it, but it just like if you got a bloodlet, no, not a bloodletter, sorry, Acolyte of Aquazats out of your graveyard, you took 3 for a 1/4. Was that worth it? No, it wasn't. You took 3 damage to bring a 1/4 back from the grave, you know, or there was like a vampire spirit, a 2-mana vampire spirit. It was a 2/2 that had descend, which meant descend 4, which means you didn't want to play it, but you could get that, and you take 2 to get a 2/2 back, and that again, like that felt okay, you know, but not great. Like this was just not great. It was a 5-drop. Oh, are you gonna have who's gonna have whose hand in the other's pocket the whole time? That's my question. I gotta be so bad. Natali's favor, fine. Tithing Blade, didn't like it. Akal Pakal was actually he was pretty good. Because if you were in any deck that wanted to make use of him, you would be drawing extra cards every turn, and your opponent just could not handle that. Your opponent could not keep up with that. You'll be the girlfriend. Okay. 4 packs left. We only have like 80% of this set. Petrify. I don't even know if this is good enough removal. Warden of the Inner Sky. Is this really my first one? I've seen people die to this card. Turn 1, they play this, then turn 2, it's just like they spit out a bunch of like tokens and then just keep pumping this up, and then suddenly, eventually, like it just becomes like a 3/4 flyer with vigilance, a 4/5 flyer with vigilance. You know, the Scry also tacked on there was really good, and if you did not remove this early, it was a problem. And again, it's a 1-drop that becomes a big flyer. This set was so, in draft, it was so ruled by like these tiny little shits. Restless Vents. I can't even say I like this one. It's got Menache. I'd liked Iron, I think that Iron Paw Aspirant, actually I think that Waylaying Pirates is a better pull than, a better play than Restless Vents. Let's see. Cave Diver. I just like this this wasn't great, you know. The Belligerent, again, this wasn't great. Monster Soar. I wanted to like these cards. I did like these cards, and if the format was slower, these would have been great. These mountain cycling, these land cycling creatures, but the format was too fast, and so if you didn't have a steady foundation early, or just removed all your opponent's creatures 1 for 1, you never got to play your 6-drops. Tithing Blade. I don't like the craft on that. Last pack. Let's see what we get here. I only have 80.9% of the set here. Starving Revenant. I've never even drafted that card. All right, let's go look at my profile to see how much of everything we have from. Shut up, Sparky.
1 for constructed and 1 for limited.
So we have all the commons.
Rank is affected by
we're missing 1 uncommon.
while your
We're missing 5 rares just for the one-ofs.
field events.
And we're missing 7 mythics.
This is where you'll find options on
I swear to God, Sparky, I hate you.
You can also choose your avatar and more.
Sparky, flush yourself down the toilet. Thank you.